I've got this Feiler Electronic Stethoscope model TS3A. I've had this for a while. I originally bought it thinking, oh man, that'll be great. I could turn that into a guitar amplifier. You know, it's already got a speaker and an input and controls and things. But, you know, this is pretty cool just for what it is. It's a, you know, signal tracer. Apparently it's from 1946 and 1947 is when they made these. It's an AC signal tracing stethoscope, and it's got a probe. This probe here. It's got this probe with it. It says the probe contains a miniature tube in a detector amplifier isolating circuit, while the larger case houses 3 more tubes, including a power output which drives the 5-inch speaker for audible signal tracing. And an AC voltmeter may be connected to the front panel jacks, which terminate VTVM and output master meter circuits, while earphone jacks are also provided. And then it goes on to say that there's a battery powered one that they made also. So anyway, it's just kind of neat. You know, when I was working a few weeks ago, when I was working on actually a few days ago, when I was working on the Jet City 20 amp, I fired this thing up. I was going to use it to try to trace the signal through that, but you know, it's got the power cord. I was having to fiddle with that too much. The power cord's been cut off by somebody, so I just used a Bluetooth speaker. But anyway, this is pretty cool. You can hook a meter, you know, hook your meter to the front panel. That seems a little bit misaligned or something there. Or your headphones, and it's got like a little sensitivity potentiometer and a speaker. So anyway, I'm not sure what that right there is for. Looks like another meter probe. Maybe not. Maybe is that a light? I don't know. If it doesn't have a pilot light, it sort of needs a pilot light. But anyway, I thought I'd just fix it up, put a new power cord on it, and then just have this thing available to use it for you know, repairs in the future. I used to use my Carson Super Probe when I needed to trace a signal, but apparently at some point I blew the IC. That was a couple years ago, I think, and I haven't really gotten back to repairing that. Maybe I can, as part of this video, I can replace the IC on this Carson Super Probe and see if I can get that thing going too. If you haven't heard of Mr. Carlson's Lab, that's a really good YouTube channel. That he has all kinds of projects like this that you can make, and all kinds of electronics knowledge on there. So you should check that out if you haven't already. I'm going to try to clean this thing up. I also notice I've got a couple of little extra items here that weren't on this originally, but I will probably encounter a few more of those things on the inside, I'm sure. This is the schematic for it. You know, basically it's got this little tube in the probe, and then a preamp tube and an output tube, and then the rectifier tube. So, you know, it's essentially just a little amplifier. That's all it is. Nothing that special. It's got some places for the probes. You know, they're just connected to the circuit, obviously. The tube that's in the probe is a 6 6G4. And you know, I've searched for that. I am not coming up with anything. It's not in my tube book. So I'll keep looking for that. But it just looks like it's a little triode, right? Then going on to a, what is that? A 6BA6 and a 6K6 output. This is the inside of it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's got this transformer that the tar looks like it's kind of cracking. So I don't know if it just needs to be turned on and heated up again or what. That's kind of interesting. And underneath here we've got a few of these paper wax capacitors that should be removed and changed out. And then when I had this on before, I don't really recall there being much hum, so the filter capacitor might be still good. It looks like somebody's been in here, everything's marked, all the tube sockets are marked in pencil, so I don't know, maybe that's been changed. I probably will use it. It just will be cool to have sitting up there and be able to switch it on and use it when I need to. It's kind of interesting how this top of this transformer is just loose like that. Is that how this came? Surely not. Maybe it was. Maybe they just assumed the tar would glue the lid on there. But I think that it looks like there might have been some long screws going down into here at one point. So I don't know if this is original or if this has been changed out or what. It doesn't look like it's been disturbed at all. I mean, everything looks original here. It just seems kind of interesting that they would have just, if that's how that came from the factory, if that just was loose like that, what happens if you turn the thing upside down? Your lid's going to be flopping around in there. I was able to get this probe apart, and it just kind of twisted it, and it came out. It looks like there's the tube. Here's the shielding around the tube. I might be sorry that I did that, because look at that. That's just kind of like hanging by a thread. It's not even attached. I guess that's just that's grounding the shielding here. So I can probably deal with that. But anyway, there's the little. This is a 6G4. I was expecting it to be smaller, actually. And then a capacitor. What is the capacitor value there? 500 volt. 150K. Is that a capacitor? Well, I can't tell what the value is supposed to be, but anyway, it looks like it's supposed to be a capacitor right there. It's kind of fragile. I probably shouldn't have opened that up, but okay, I've got the new power cord. It's a polarized cord. I got it wired in there. I was careful to get the hot hot wire to the, see the white wire that goes up to the switch on the front panel here. So I was careful to get the hot wire, which is the small blade on the plug, to the switch. You know, I just took a clip lead, took one end off of it and soldered it in there to replace this one here that was falling apart. And then, you know, this whole thing looks kind of janky. The ground, the shield is just this little wire, this little spindly wire right here that comes, it's just soldered to the shield. So this whole thing just kind of looks a little bit, you know, a little bit shaky. So we'll see if it works. This says caution. Disconnect plug from electrical outlet before removing or inserting tubes. Failure to do so will cause tubes to burn out. You know, I've seen a lot of people just pull the tubes right out and put them right back in, so I don't know about that one. This is from the engineer, so you'd think that they would know what they're doing. Anyway, I got this probe back together. We'll see how that works. I'm going to turn my power on here. It's on. This says 130 volts. That's pretty wild. Okay, so turn it on. Oh, tubes are lighting up. Well, I guess, you know, nothing's blowing. There is some hum coming from the speaker. I did clean all the switches in the potentiometer here. Yeah, it seems pretty sensitive. Look at that. So I'm going to probably take a break from it now and change out the paper capacitors underneath the chassis there. Okay, I'm just trying to make a decision here on what capacitors to use. You know, all of these, can you see that? They're all 0.003s. All these wax ones are 0.003s, except for this one's a 0.002, and they're all 1,000 volt. You know, that seems like overkill. There's nothing more than 250 volts in here. So, and there's one more 0.003 on the top. Got this, you know, I'm not sure. It could be a paper capacitor or a mica capacitor. I'm not sure on that one. It's a 0.02. None of the values match up to the schematic that I have. This is completely, these are all 0.002s, and then the one coming off of the volume control is a 0.05. That's a 0.002. So you know, nothing matches up. This one to ground that's on the tube, that's pin 6. That's got to be that one, 0.003. So nothing matches. The one across the output transformer, let's see, that's those two red, that's that red and blue lead. That's a 0.003. This has got 0.0. It's not, I don't think it's that critical. I think it's just blocking DC. And when I put my meter across these, it seems like they're not leaky. I'm probably not going to change the filter capacitor because, I mean, this thing's on. it's on, and I mean, there might be a little hum there. I'm not going to mess with the filter capacitor. I mean, it's not getting warm or anything. It's not getting even, it's just cold. So I think these are all actually pretty okay. They're probably fine, but just get these paper waxy things out of here. I think what I'm going to do, I'm gonna, I'm not gonna follow what the schematic is. I'm gonna go with what's in here, because I mean, these look original. This is all original. Nothing has been replaced. I think I'm gonna go with these gumdrops that are the same value as what I'm just gonna replace the same value that's in the circuit at this point, and not pay attention to the schematic, because it's working. The filter capacitor seems to be fine. There's no hum. So I'm just going to replace all of these with the values that are in there with these 630 volt gumdrop capacitors. Yeah, this thing's working. I just want to get these paper ones out of here. So that's what we're going to do. Earlier in the video, I was wondering what this was. It's not a light. It's not a pilot light. And, you know, looking at pictures of these online, it's not there. So it's something's been added. And it comes off of the speaker switch. So it looks like somebody added a little speaker jack there. I don't know why, because you got a speaker right here. So I'm not sure why they would do that, but anyway, it looks like it's a speaker jack that was added for whatever reason. So anyway, just putting it back together here. This is my Carson Super Probe that I built using the information on Mr. Carlson's Lab YouTube channel. And you know, I built this a long time ago, and I think what I did, I hooked it up to more than 5 volts and blew the IC. I think that's what happened. But anyway, I just used one of these router cases, and you know, you pick these up. I build projects in these things. I used to build projects in these things. You can get these at thrift stores. You know, practically they're just giving them away. So it's kind of good for building a project in. You know, I've kind of like cheesy little lettering on there, but anyway, this thing worked great. Here's the probe I made. It worked great when it was working. I got a little LED right there. It worked great when it was working, but I did something. I don't know if I think it seems like I hooked up too much voltage to it, or I'm not sure what I did, but it blew. I think the IC is blown. So I'm going to see if I can get in there and see what's wrong with this thing, and get it working again, and then compare it to the Feiler stethoscope. So this is the inside of the Carson Super Probe, and man, look at this thing. I barely remember even building this thing. For some reason, I'm suspecting that IC right there, but look at that. Excuse me. That is going to be a nightmare to get back on there. Anyway, on Mr. Carlson's Lab channel and Patreon, he has these boards, diagrams that you can make them. He tells you how to make your own circuit boards, and that's what this is. It's kind of it looks pretty bad. I mean, I left all the I didn't clean the flux off the board, but anyway, that right there is going to be difficult to get off of there. You know, all I have is a regular soldering iron. That is crazy. So anyway, let's see if I can get that off of there and get a new one on there. I would have some more of these chips somewhere. Because usually when I buy things at DigiKey or wherever, I buy several of them. That is amazing. I've got power applied to it from my power supply, and it looks like it's still working, because the LED, I don't know if you can see this or not, but if I get close to the lights, it's still lighting up like it's detecting something. The switch, I think, is between audio and RF. You see, it's a lot more sensitive on that one setting than the other one. If I get near the light, it really lights up. So it must just be the audio part of this thing that's not doing its thing. And that is hot. That is hot as fire. I'll turn that off. Yeah, that IC is hot as fire. Wow. Okay, what would cause that? It's like something shorted here. That IC is supposed to be a LM4871. So let me look and see if I've got some more of those. Well, I got the chip off of there, but I think I'm screwed because some of the traces came off. Some of the traces came off of the board. Just 3 little pieces. I might be able to... Man, this can be like microsurgery. It's gonna be like microsurgery getting those traces fixed. I guess I can give it a shot. It'd just be like using a little hair of a wire. It's gonna be a miracle if this thing works again. I may have to make another board. Let me see. Alright, I think I might have it to where it might work now. I mean, maybe. I don't know if you can see that little hair that I put right there between those 2 points. And then right here was missing, but it comes down together here, so I just globbed a piece of solder right there. See, right. See, these two come together anyway down here, so I just globbed a piece of solder right there. And then over here, I got a little copper wire and just went across there. And then this one's missing, but I think what I'll do, I'll get the chip on there, and then I'll just kind of lay a little copper wire across that and fix that trace. So I think everything all the connections will be made. You know, whether it works or not is another question. Well, I did clean off some of the flux on there, so it looks pretty cool actually. Well, there's the finished product. I had to make a jumper. I had the wire that I had jumped across here when I was putting when I heated up that pad, the wire came off. So, you know, this just comes down here to this ground point. So I just put a jumper on the, just at the contact of this capacitor, the negative contact over to here. And that's what this, that's what that red wire is right there. So it's not pretty, but when I apply power to it, it seems like it's working. So it seems like it's working. So it seems like it's working again. That's great. The LED, it seems like it's working. The LED's not doing anything. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I'm just flipping the switch. There's a switch right here to go from audio to RF. And you know, it seems like it's working. So I'm gonna I'll actually try it on the radio or something. I'm not sure why my LED's not lighting up now. It definitely does seem to be working. Except for the LED is not coming on. Oh yeah, there we go. It is coming on. I think it's working. Okay, I think this is a miracle. A miracle has happened here. Yeah, it's not getting hot or anything, so great. It's working. Alright. Alright, I went ahead and wired in a little 5-volt power supply to my Carson Super Probe, just so that I don't get the wrong voltage in the future, hopefully, and blow this thing out. So I think now I'm going to try to do some signal tracing with the Feiler, whatever it is, the stethoscope, electronic stethoscope, and compare it to the Carson Super Probe. See how that goes. Okay, I got this electronic stethoscope back on the bench here, and it's on. And this just little transistor radio, it's on, but the volume's just turned down, so you know, you can just hit a couple points.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them,
And trace the signal through here. I mean, it would help if you had a schematic, but to know what you're hitting. Whoa. I mean, that's all the way down, too. If I turn it up, like halfway, let's see, turned up halfway, some of these points here that were quiet earlier. So yeah, so you just be able to trace the signal through, you know, your radio or your amplifier or whatever it is. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then this one, you'd also be able to hook a meter or headphones to it.
You just got back from LA, you've been out
But
doing
man, if you hit that one point with headphones on, you'd blast your ears out. So anyway.
Yeah, Ellen, we haven't seen it. Yeah, we're just talking about how the emotions of money really what hold people back, right? We give them a plan, we give them.
So cool. And then with my Carson Super Probe, you know, you can just get close to the contact or the component to pick up the. You don't even have to see. It's got if you want to, you can actually make contact, but you can just also just get close to it and pick up the signals, which is kind of nice. So it's pretty handy. It's pretty sensitive. I don't know if it seems like the LED is working like it's supposed to. If I turn up the gain, there you go. You can see the LEDs working. So that'd be kind of handy if you're trying to trace the signal through. So anyway, there you have it. Alright, so there you have it. 1946 or 1947 Feiler Electronic Stethoscope. Thanks for watching.